Hello and welcome to Frankly Speaking. It's a pleasure to have you, Jyotiraditya Scindia.
Always a pleasure to be with you, Navika.
And the bottom line in this show is you will speak frankly.
I have always spoken frankly, especially with you. It's always been frank.
Mr. Jyotiraditya Scindia, what do you make of the current situation, geopolitically, the challenges that India faces, politically, the questions that India faces within the country? Where do you think we are at this point in time, globally and internally?
So, Navika ji, if you look at the journey that our country has traversed over the last decade, from being a country that has traditionally been at the periphery of global confluence, from a country that's always been at the periphery in terms of achievements and infrastructure. Today, through the last decade of perseverance, intensive insistence on outcomes, the Prime Minister has led the country from the front, and we have become from the periphery to the center of global issues, global confluences. India has led from the front at every conclave, not only in terms of the Prime Minister's resolves, but those resolves translated into actions. And apart from the huge leaps that India has taken on issues like infrastructure, economic growth, even on issues that will affect not necessarily you and me, but our generations to come, such as economic sustainability, environmental sustainability and others, where India has already achieved what it had said it would do by 2035 on our sustainability norms, our harnessing of energy from renewables, almost close to a decade in advance, due to the Prime Minister's sharpness towards these issues. So when we talk about India being Atmanirbhar, when we talk about, when Prime Minister talks about India becoming the Vishwa Guru, when Prime Minister talks about India becoming a Vaishwik Netritva Karne Wala Desh as a Vishwa Bandhu, all of those have very potent examples behind them in the last decade. And so yes, India has now become a player in terms of defining global charters. We saw many examples of that in the G20 that was held in India. Today, if you look at economic growth, we are the 4th largest economy in the world from being the 11th largest a decade ago. Hopefully soon by 2028, we'll become the 3rd largest economy. We have doubled our GDP from $2.3 trillion to $4.5 trillion in the last decade. We have raised 25 crore people above the poverty line. You're talking about almost the population of the United States of America. No mean feat. And therefore today India has become a stakeholder in the global village due to the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Now, yes, there are a lot of global challenges. The last couple of years or couple of months have seen tremendous changes happen across the world. But I do believe that with Prime Minister Modi's leadership, we, and I still remember his phrase when you and I and the world faced the issue of COVID and Corona, कि हर चुनौती को हमें अवसर में बदलना है. And under Prime Minister's leadership, we will see this world, international, global environment of turmoil as well, and it's affected, and it will affect every nation. But I have a great level of confidence that under Prime Minister's leadership, you will turn that chunauti also into an avsar.
You really believe that? Because in recent times, President Trump, it's called a film that is unfolding in India, Trump, Tariff or Takleef. The kind of tariffs, the penalties that have been imposed on us, the manner in which the opposition is raising the issue of failure of foreign policy, so to speak. Do you expect the growth that we've seen over the past decade getting a bit undone because of this new challenge?
Let me say this, that I really do believe as an Indian that India has not only always risen to the challenge, but has in many ways translated that into opportunity. I believe we will do the same as far as this situation is concerned. Across the world, it is an environment of really looking after one's own backyard. And so you've gone from becoming a global village to becoming your local village. And that's the environment that's happening across the world with every country. In that environment today, whereas you're seeing global GDP grow at maybe 2.4%, 2.3%, some of it will be impacted by what's happening across the world. You're seeing India grow at 6.5%, 7% GDP growth rate. Now, to me, as if you take away my political hat and you put on my economist hat, that certainly would be a concern for me if it was an outlier or a blip. But the very fact that you've had a decadal growth rate in India of close to 6.5%, 7%, that has led to the transformation that you and I have seen. Whether it's in case of the highways that have been built, the airports that have been built, the number of people that have been lifted above poverty line, the social security programs that have been instituted across the board. And these are programs that are global in size and global in nature, not local in size and local in nature. And that's what's transformed India. And if you're able to grow at that 6.5%, 7% decadal growth rate, you're going to see a transformation.
But can we grow at that rate?
Yes, you will. You've had that in the last 10 years. If you don't have 7%, you'll have 6.5% or 6%. But let me explain to you, Navika, if you look at the theory of the success of the American economy and how today the American economy today is leading the world, America never grew at 8%, 9%, 10%. The secret of America's success is that it only grew at 3.5%, 4%, 4.5%. But it grew at that rate for 100 years. And therein lies the secret of the success of the power of compounding. And so if India compounds, not at 8%, 9%, but if India compounds even at 6%, 6.5%, there's nothing that's going to stop this country.
But we have a larger base of population than America did.
Today you're the largest economy, largest population in the world. You're the largest growing economy in the world. We're growing at a faster clip than China. And mind you, we were 18, 19 years behind the whole globalization agenda and strategy of China. Today, we have a demographic dividend. We have a democratic dividend. You have growth powering yourself. For a change, you've actually got not only private sector investment, but you've also got huge public sector investment driving India's growth. And when those both engines are firing, and then you have a social sector agenda, I don't believe there's anything that can stop a country that has those three brick and mortar pieces and piece, which Prime Minister Narendra Modi has put in place.
So President Trump called the Indian economy a dead economy. A statement that was echoed by Mr. Rahul Gandhi, leader of opposition in Parliament, who said India has a dead economy. How do you respond to that, Judge?
So I don't think it's a charge that any, the fact that I'm a Bharatiya Janata Party worker, but I don't think that's a charge that any Indian has to respond to. I firmly believe, and I have an emotional response to that, and which is that if you're a patriot and if you're a citizen of India, and in your perspective, your country's economy is dead, your judicial system is dead, your election commission is dead, your bureaucracy is dead, then good luck to you. The country has moved on.
As simple as that, because
it's as simple as that.
The opposition says, आप अपने आप को विश्व गुरु कहते थे, लेकिन आज आप देख लीजिए आप कहाँ खड़े हैं. यूएस जिसको आप दोस्त कहते थे, वो आपका दोस्त नहीं है.
I have just given you, I have laid out the agenda before you.
But
in terms of where India stands.
But have we made mistakes? China, what happened?
Let me say this: that I do not think that an engagement at the scale of what India has engaged with the world over the last 10 years has ever happened in India's history. Now, there will be times when global policies change. In the 90s and the 2000s, we had an environment where the whole world was talking about globalization, right? And Navika Kumar should join the globalization train, and Mr. Scindia should join the globalization train, and every country in the 193 countries of the world must follow the globalization chain. Now, that's come full circle, and it's going backwards, right? So trends in the world change as times change. You have to make sure that as a country, you are focused and placed on very firm pillars of growth for the economy, for the social sector. And if you are that, then no one can stop your advance in the world. And I do believe that it is India's century, it is India's time. And India will lead, not only within the country, but India will lead globally. Look at the number of people in every walk of life that you and I read about, less that I interact with, but more that you interact with, considering the public nature of your work, who today are leading global corporations, today are leading countries across the world. That wasn't the situation 15 years ago or 20 years ago. And therefore, I do believe, and I want to add this point, that today it is India being powered by Indians and India being powered by India's diaspora, which are a very, very powerful force that adds as a multiplier to us. Because the Vishwas and the confidence that they have been able to place in India in terms of their value addition to their now countries brings a huge dividend to us in that relationship.
True that, but as a minister heading an infrastructure ministry like Telecom, do you see a short-term impact of the tariff penalties that are going to come our way starting 27th of August if we are not able to resolve
the
situation?
way I look at it is that today the push that the Prime Minister has had for the last decade on Atmanirbhar Bharat will bear fruit. He has an innate ability to be able to see what the future is bringing. Let me give you a personal example. In 2021, when he inducted me as the Minister of Civil Aviation, and after a month or so of understanding the ministry, I went to him with my ideas and the agenda that my ministry had developed. And among the things we discussed, he said, I want you to focus on drones. It's one thing that we need to deliver for India, that India must become the drone capital of the world by 2030. At that time, drones were not part of our daily lexicon. I'm talking about 5 years ago. Today, drones are everywhere, from warfare to delivering medicines to being a part of our daily lives. They're no longer a toy with which you play in the sky, right? And his ability, and that's just one example for you, his ability to be able to think ahead. And similarly, in the case of Telecom, when the private players were building out their 5G network and their 4G network, the government's role is no longer to be a regulator, but to be a facilitator. And therefore, I can't tell you what technology you must use. That has to be part of your business strategy. But certainly, when the case came for BSNL to roll out its 4G technology, and it would have been a much easier path for BSNL to do exactly what the other telcos have done, which is to go and buy the equipment from one of the big players. We've got 4 countries that manufacture telecom equipment in the world: Denmark, Finland, South Korea, and China. And we could have easily done that exact same strategy and rolled out a 4G network. But he said, no, I know it's going to take time. I know it's going to be more difficult. I know it's going to be more painful. I know BSNL has issues. But if BSNL is laying out its 4G network, it better be an Atmanirbhar solution. And for the first time in the history of India, something that you and I would have, when we thought of it, would have said, this is impossible.
Why
You
reinvent the wheel?
No, not only reinvent, but by whom? You have a public sector company, CDOT, manufacturing the core software. You have a private sector startup, Tejas, putting up the RANs, the towers, as you and I in telecom parlance talk about. And then you have an Indian company, TCS, as the SI. And you have this Trimurti, if you will, coming together with a solution. As it is, it's a complex technology. To complicate it further, you have a public sector, private sector combination. But in 22 months, we did it. And today, we are rolling out, as of yesterday, we've rolled out 91,000 towers across the length and breadth of India of 4G, our own Atmanirbhar solution. So the first time in the history of telecom equipment manufacturing, there is a fifth entrant in the game. And that fifth entrant in the game is India. And our solution today will become a solution not only for India, but once perfected will become a solution for multiple countries across the world. And my thinking is, just like we did vaccine Maitri, for a lot of the countries in the global south.
You will do tower Maitri and telecom Maitri.
Not tower Maitri, but telecom equipment Maitri. For a lot of countries across the global south, this could become a very potent possible technology solution for their wireless networks to go ahead. Once 4G is perfected, we will switch to 5G. And to answer your question with regard to what happens, we have a bit of a hiatus period right now, because we've done the quickest 5G execution in the world in India. In 21 months, we've laid out towers covering 99.8% districts. Only one district is left in India. And 82% of population. So 5G has already been rolled out. Now 6G standards are being put in place. That equipment is not being manufactured today, right? So we have a hiatus period wherein we can put together that technology also for the days to come.
And but does this impact exports? Does this impact the growth in this sector?
Yes, to answer that, yes, it possibly will. But there's the reason for you to look for other opportunities and diversify your basket. Now, that's not a question that I can answer to you in terms of numbers, because I'm not the Commerce and Industry Minister. But having been Commerce and Industry Minister in my past avatar as MOS, in today's environment, provided you have a quality product, provided you are from a pricing point of view, sensitive, because the price elasticity of goods, which are not completely technology oriented, is extremely high. So price elasticity is very, very high. So provided you're able to do that, you will find new markets.
Let me also ask you, are there hurdles within the government? And let me tell you,
even within the exporting community, some of whom I am in touch with, not because of a direct play, but an indirect play, there's a great amount of echo of the Prime Minister's feeling. Yes, that this is a difficult time, but this is a great opportunity, and we will overcome it, and we will diversify. So that feeling is there within the
spirit of a fight back is coming up. But let me also ask you this question. Are there hurdles within the government to look at Plan B, Plan C on meeting the challenges out of what has been now?
The one hallmark of Prime Minister Narendra Modi always is never sit still. He pushes the envelope, he pushes us.
Does he never sit still, or does he make you guys run around?
Neither does he sit still, nor does he allow us to sit still. And I think that is the hallmark of a credible leader, not necessarily only a political leader, but a leader in every aspect. And the fact that you can infuse your team, you can not only empower, but enthuse your team and motivate your team to keep thinking out of the box. And he did it during Corona. He's done it individually with multiple ministries. I gave you my own example. And I'm very confident that as our leader, he will make sure that we do it again.
Let me ask you a question on your own political journey. Very recently on social media, I just saw a very heartening visual, and you were appreciated for it on social media, at the inauguration of a school in Bhopal, Digvijay Singh was there and you went down, you held his hand, took him up the stage. You're somebody who for ideological reasons left the Congress party, came to the BJP. There is a lot of confrontation between the two sides now. But for you to go down and bring your senior leader, whether he's in the Congress or not, the fact is that you went down and brought him up, something that we haven't really seen in recent times in politics, the gesture of camaraderie between the two opposing sides. Any special reason that it happened, or is that just you? Is that the Madhya Pradesh camaraderie that existed between both of you?
Let me say this, that, so first of all, I just, not that I mean to correct you, but it's not as if there weren't differences between the two of us whilst I was in the Congress party as well.
Yes, you were at loggerheads most of the time.
Yeah, so I want to clarify that. But I think there are some things that are instilled in you by your parents. Those are morals, values, how you conduct yourself. I think you and I, as parents today, would want to instill those values in our children. Life is not only about hard facts and angular lines. It's also about circles. And I think that a sense of respect, a sense of you may not get along, you may have differences of opinion, but there has to be some areas where those boundaries need to be transcended. And I walked onto the stage. I hadn't seen him. When I sat on the stage, I saw him sitting before me, and I don't know, don't ask me what it was, but there was something in my, not in my mind, but in my heart that didn't feel right. And I'm a man like my father, who you knew, Navika, who goes by instinct and my emotion. I don't go by strategy in my mind. Didn't feel right. And so I did what I felt was right.
आजकल होता नहीं है.
You know, this profession has a, my father used to say this and I never understood it. And he said, राजनीति में वो क्षमता है व्यक्ति को बदलने के लिए. और कभी भी राजनीति को तुम्हें परिवर्तित नहीं करना चाहिए. हो सके तो तुम राजनीति को परिवर्तित करो. Never made, I mean, he was talking about himself. But now, a lot of what he used to say in those days, what he used to do, he was never a person who would get into slandering matches and fights. He had very, very strong views and would attack policies, but would never attack personally. And these are things that, I don't know, in maybe through his DNA or whatever, I've tried, I've imbibed, or I have tried to imbibe.
Strange. Do you see this happening around you when you're in Parliament? Do you have friends across the aisle? Because you were on the other side of the aisle, then you came.
I mean, you...
Are there lasting friendships?
Let me... I don't think you need to ask me that question, because you're privy to one such relationship. The relationship that I have with Arun uncle.
Mr. Jaitley.
Yeah. And a relationship that he had with my father. The relationship my father had with, and mere rongte khade ho rahe when I'm talking to you about it, but the relationship my father had with Vajpayee. Someone, they both contested against each other. Bitter contest. I was 13 years old, I remember. And he was the first person who came to our house when my father passed. They shared the most warm relationship.
September, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, so, yeah, it's something that the family has always had. My grandmother my father, I have tried to.
Your aunts? Is there... there was a time when the relationship was difficult with Vasundhara Raje. Are things better now? Is there...
I don't talk about family.
You don't?
I don't. That's something very private to me.
Do you...
And I always wish them well.
That says it all. But do you believe that the politics of today is way different from what it was, possibly at the time of your father in the 90s?
Everything evolves in life, Navika. So tangentially, let me talk to you about another thing that I think about a lot, and I reminisce. Growing up, and let me give you an example, and possibly you also went through the same experience. Growing up with our parents, sometimes you'd visit a friend's, you'd visit with your parents to their friend's house or whatever else, and there never used to be any agenda. You'd end up on a weekend going for lunch, and you'd probably end up staying for tea, and maybe even staying for dinner and coming back, right? Today, we always find that everything is very compartmentalized. If you're coming to my house, you've got that 1.5 hour. No, not an agenda. But it's compartmentalized in terms of the time, right? And the one thing that I have always found in my life, that relationships take time and investment to build. It's not an appointment.
It's not transactional.
It's not an appointment. True. But you and I don't, it's nice philosophically for me to say that, but you and I don't today have that luxury of time as well, because life has changed, because human beings are much more fast-paced than we were. This box that we carry around, unfortunately, thankfully, you don't have it and I don't have it right now, but, oh, there you go. That's supposed
to... The telecom minister cannot be against the telephone.
But I am. I say it openly. This is supposed to be a tool to enable us. But sometimes...
Not to control us.
But sometimes it becomes a tool that actually controls us. It happens with me. Like every time a buzz comes, I want to know, okay, who's SMS me? What is it? There's certain times when you need to just put it face down. So at home, we have an unwritten rule that whenever we come to the dining table, just leave your phones away.
Your kids follow that rule? Mine don't, many times.
The onus is not on the kids. The onus is on us too.
Yeah, if we can do it, they'll probably try to do it.
Yeah.
But what are
you won't believe people go through such emotional stress when they lose their mobiles. Sometimes it's almost like you've
lost a limb.
You know what I'm saying? It's a piece of technology.
You should be happy. The dependence on phones.
Yeah, but I'm more of a human being than just
AI.
Yeah.
True, but what are conversations on the dining table all about with the next generation?
So there I have to tell you, I have a lot, I'm told by my family members, my wife, my kids, that I have a lot to improve on.
Yeah.
Because they've, not my children, but certainly my wife, have seen it with my father. And my father had always had this rule that whenever everyone's at home, irrespective, that 1 hour is family time. So he always gave my sister and me, he didn't give us quantity of time, but he always gave us quality of time. And his time was with us, was his time with us. And that was very, very clear. Today, unfortunately, both you and I, और phone आ गया, phone उठा रहे हो, और ये हो गया, और नविका, उसका क्या हुआ जो मैंने तुमको कहा था करने के लिए, हो गया कि नहीं काम, क्या है उसकी. So sometimes I'm told at home, and I'm at the receiving end here, just take a step back.
Do ministers get bullied by their wives?
Oh, wives and children.
And children.
Yeah. And take a step back, take a chill pill, and we don't want to talk about work. Let's talk about us, right? So I'm saying it, that's an area where
this is confession time. Confession time, and I hope your children watch this. You know, you come from a family that has had relations with politics. Your grandmother, your father, yourself.
My grandfather.
Your grandfather. Your son?
That's for him to decide. It's not for you or me
Or
to decide.
is it a given?
No. It was never a given for me. And let me tell you, I would have never joined politics.
You were a banker.
If it were not the tragic circumstances which led me to join politics. I was involved with my father's public service, I would say, not necessarily his politics. But I was a banker for 6 years. I'd gone to Stanford Business School. I was doing a startup. But life, fate decides the path that you will tread on. And for me, when I look back now and having spent over close to 2.5 decades in public service now.
You're too young. 2.5 decades?
Yeah, 2002. So it's 23 years. Yeah, and time has flown by.
When you look back, right decision? Have you enjoyed it?
I wouldn't have thought twice. If you ask me that there's a career waiting for you on the side and you want to slip out of this and into that, I wouldn't even think about it. And not because of anything else, but I really think that there are times in life which, or rather incidents in life that change your philosophy of life. And my father's passing was one such incident for me. And the things that were important to me prior to 30th of September 2001 are not even remotely important to me now. And for me today, the most important, if you will, punji in my life today is my relationship with the people of my region. It's not necessarily the politics part of my career, but it certainly is the public service part of my career. And that's why I say that मैं राजनीतिज्ञ अपने आप को नहीं समझता, पर जरूर एक जनसेवक मैं अपने आप को मैं अब जरूर बनना चाहूँगा जीवन में.
वो तो आप बन चुके हैं, पर मैं आप, you know, you're also emotional, and I want to ask you out of just curiosity, because we look at politicians in a certain image and a certain perception of politicians. But when you bring out the emotional side, one does realize that yes, they are humans too. I want to ask you, you were in the Congress party, you moved on to this side. Does it take time to take a decision of quitting a party? Does it take time to adjust to a new party? Are the two sides different? How do you adjust yourself? How has it been for you?
So the answer to the three questions that you have posed in one are all yes, yes, and yes. It wasn't an easy decision. It took a lot, but that today is my past. I believe in life, a human being must never think that he is fully evolved. You must always be open to change. You must be able to internalize change, and you must be able to affect change. Every institution has its own rubric, its own value system. Fortunately for me, the BJP was not a different system. It's a system which has been very much part of my family. My grandmother was one of the founding elements behind the whole movement. I would call it a movement, not necessarily only a political party. My father's career began with the Jan Sangh. He contested his first election as a member of the Jan Sangh in 1971. So for me, and also some of the relationships that we've had as a family have been always across party lines. So for me, it's never been, when I joined the BJP, it's not like I joined a new party. It's, in a way, for my family, it's also your own party because of the genesis with my grandmother. So it's, for me, it was like a coming home of sorts. But yes, you have to be open to change, you have to mold yourself, and you have to be able to change parts of yourself. I'm not saying that necessarily was easy, but it's important to do. Just like you would, Navika, if you, God forbid, moved from your current position to a firm in a different position in a different firm. You would also have to change, and your success or failure would, to an extent, also be defined by your ability to change and adapt. Humans are built to adapt. We are supposed to adapt. There must never come a time in life, irrespective of how successful you are or how big you become, that you think that you should not change. There must always be some part of you that goes through a self-inquisition, an ability to take feedback from others, and understanding that that feedback is coming from a nice place. It's coming from a good place. It's coming from a constructive point of view to make you a better person. And according to that feedback, try and adapt as much as you can. I'm not saying that you can always change everything about you, but adapt yourself to become a better human being. Again, from a philosophical perspective, what is our call in life? Our call in life is to improve ourselves eventually, to be able to attain moksha so that you don't have to go through rebirth.
I thought you're really getting spiritual now. Moksha.
That's an avenue of mine that you opened up in this interview, which I've never experienced with you before, but I firmly believe in that.
Do you find it strange that you were very close to Mr. Rahul Gandhi, and today, do you even say hello to each other?
Life moves on, and as life moves on, you move on. And as I said to you earlier, that I don't dwell on my past. I dwell on my present, and I dwell on my future. My responsibilities today, and am I conducting those to the best of my capability? You may say that that's not good enough, but is it the best of what I can offer? And as long as I feel that I am doing the best that I can offer, then I sleep a good night's sleep.
There are some questions that are raised by the opposition, questions on whether our democracy is on a sound footing. For that, they've brought the questions, as we started with saying, that election commission not doing, voter rolls very truthfully, and it's a stolen mandate. How do you respond to a charge like that comes?
So these questions are rather ironical, coming from quarters that have stamped out democracy in our country in the past. These questions are also ironical, coming from those that have won elections in multiple states based on those very electoral rolls. It's almost like the oft-heard adage that we have, that हारे तो चोरी और जीते तो सीना जोरी. This is not something new that's happening in this country for the first time. In India's democratic history, this is happening for the 14th time. 14th time. It is the most transparent system. Every political party appoints their BLAs. Case in point for you in Bihar. The Congress and the JDU together, I believe, I may be off by a few thousand, but have appointed close to about 80,000 BLAs between the two of them. The Congress and the RJD have appointed close to about 60,000 BLAs, right? So for all of the arguments that they're putting across, I find it very curious as to how not a single BLA has put an objection in any polling booth of these 90,000 polling booths that they are talking about. Why is that? And when this was conducted for the 13 times in our country's history, there was no opposition. But today there is. What about taking out the electoral rolls of those where in the states that you won the elections? The BJP has never said that it's a chorod election. We've said you won fair and square, fine, that's good. Good luck to you.
आप ज़्यादा जीतते हो, वो कम जीतते हैं, उनको दर्द ज़्यादा होता है.
अब उनकी दर्द के लिए मलहम तो हम तो नहीं निकाल सकते. जो देश की जनता और देश के वोटर्स के साथ जो विश्वास उन्होंने पूर्ण रूप से खोया है, वो तो उनका काम है, हमारा काम तो है नहीं.
But then the question also arises when they raise the question that आप हर चीज को एक political twist दे देते हो. आपके इंडिपेंडेंस डे के इनविटेशंस में ऑपरेशन सिंदूर है, पोलिटिसाइजेशन ऑफ अ रीसेंट वॉर, आप अपने सेना की लेडीज को भेज देते हैं सोनी टेलीविजन पे.
दिस इज लाइक द डेविल रीडिंग द स्क्रिप्चर्स.
दे आर द डेविल.
आपके हर लफ्ज पे भारत के प्रजातंत्र पर कलंक लगाने का कार्य आप करते हो. Everything that you say. You have brought down the spirit of the army, you brought down the spirit of democracy, you brought down the spirit of the election commission, you brought down the judiciary. Who have you spared? Why? It's my pursuit of power. I wanted hope.
But he says power is poison.
I just want to respond to you by saying this. In life, sometimes there's many a slip between the cup and the lip.
So, who's missing it?
I'll leave it at that.
Let me also ask you. You also had a ministry called the Ministry of the Northeast, and you seem to be extremely emotional in your connect with that. Your social media viral videos on the fashion show that you did for the Northeast with your wife, just shows how much of you has been invested. As the minister, do you believe that our Northeast, we've resolved those differences or the challenges over the last 10 years?
So let me just tell you this, Navika, very succinctly. When I talk to you about global growth, and I talk to you about India's growth, and I thank you for this, for giving me the segue. When Prime Minister Narendra Modi says that he wants Uttar Purvi Bharat to be the growth engine of India. When I told you that 2.5% global growth, roughly about 2.5x, 6.5% to 7% India GDP growth rate. Decadal growth rate. I'm not talking about an outlier again for 1 year or 2 years. Decadal growth rate in the Northeast, not a one state, two states, all 8 states. Do you know what the decadal growth? I was astounded. Before I became donor minister, I had no clue. 11 to 13%.
Northeast.
Decadal growth rate. 11 to 13%. It's double of India. 4.5 times global growth rate. Over a decade. 4.5 crore people. 65% below the age of 30. You're talking about 3 crore population below the age of 30 in that area. And today the framework that the Prime Minister has put in place over the last 10 years, 5 lakh crores worth of investment. National highways going from 10,000 kilometers to 16,000 kilometers. Airports going from 7 to 18. Railways connecting 5 states, the balance 3 happening soon. 19 projects worth 81,000 crores. The longest road bridge in Asia, Bhupen Hazarika Bridge. One of the longest rail-cum-road bridges in Asia. Many firsts with the Northeast. You've got a fab now. You've Silicon Valley semiconductor fab being put up in Assam.
But you also have money
crores. Yes, but please remember that if you look at the position in which the Bharatiya Janata Party and the NDA government inherited the Northeast, from then to now, in the last 11 years, the amount of militant groups that have now become a part of the mainstream, almost close to about 10 to 15,000 people have laid down arms. We've signed multiple accords. Last week in cabinet, we approved 3,500 crores worth of investments for 3 new accords, out of which an IIM in Guwahati is part of it. You've got an AIMS opening up in the Northeast. So the amount of development there, and let me tell you, after having visited all 8 states and spending time in these 8 states, I just had a 1.5 hour video conference with the Chief Minister of Meghalaya, Conrad Sangmaji, on a tourism circuit which he and I together and this ministry and his government have built over the last 6 months, where we are building a full 3.5 to 4 day itinerary, not only looking at infrastructure, bring in private players, how many jobs are we going to create, how are we going to train people, end to end when Navika Kumar and her husband lands till the time she takes off, who is she going to be taken care by, who's going to pick her up, who's going to drop her off. So an end-to-end solution, very much like the private sector. It's a model that we've come up with, and Meghalaya, I have to tell you, has done an amazing job with that. Donor ministry is going to fund a huge portion of that tourism circuit. The opportunity is there. You and I use perfume and cologne. A very important ingredient in this is something, and I had no clue about this before, let me tell you, something called oud, right? And oud today, the largest potential market for oud is the Northeast. It can give the states of Assam and Tripura a revenue potential of close to about 10 to 15,000 crores per year.
Per year?
Per year. I had no idea that a gram of oud is close to about 4 times in value of that of silver and gold. And that's our natural resource. So we are putting together a project for that, for certain districts in Assam and Tripura. Our queen pineapples from Tripura today go to Germany. I'm identifying a USP for every state. So whether it's queen pineapples of Tripura, the chilies of Nagaland, Sikkim being an organic state, ginger, miso ginger, and we're building projects around that. We're building skilling projects. Bamboo, tremendous potential, which is today used for everything across the world. We're taking international majors and constructing bamboo value chains in the Northeast. So it's an area which has so much of excitement, I can't even begin to tell you, and so much of potential. And that's the potential that we're going to harness. And if you go back 2,000 years, this area of the world was actually the Setu. It was the bridge between the global south and the rest of the world. And it's time.
Then isn't it a pity that we have to extend president's rule in Manipur?
But don't restrict yourself. Yes, there is a situation in Manipur. We are working at it in all earnest. But that's not all of Northeast. And even in Manipur, let me tell you, Manipur is a state that has given that 11.5%, 12% decadal growth rate, even in this environment. Even in this environment.
So then many people will turn around and ask you, "Aapne kya kiya?" ये तो intrinsic India की strength है.
No, not at all. I'm talking about the decadal growth rate. I'm talking about the last 10 years of the Modi government. But that is because of the policies.
Is it because of the government or despite the government?
Because when you look at a 5 lakh crore capex investment into the Northeast.
And that's paying dividend.
That's paying dividend today. The fact that you had a vibrant village policy from the last village of India, it's now become the first village of India. And Prime Minister's resolve of saying that we want 100% saturation of key infrastructure issues in these vibrant villages. Donor ministries working with all 8 state governments to look at one issue per state where we can do 100% saturation over the next 1 year. So there's a lot of plan afoot, a lot of work afoot, which the Prime Minister has piloted along with these 8 state chief ministers, which is today bearing fruit.
Earlier, a ministry portfolio.
Think about it. Think about it. The Prime Minister has visited the Northeast. Again, you can correct me by 1 or 2 visits, but somewhere around 70 times in the last 11 years. More than every Prime Minister of India in the last 65 years before Prime Minister Modi took charge. Add up all their visits, and it's still less than what Prime Minister has done in the last 11 years. Not only him, he has instructed all of us as cabinet ministers. Everyone has to visit the Northeast. 700 times cabinet ministers and ministers of state have visited the Northeast. 72 is your size of the full cabinet. 700 visits.
That's the commitment.
That's the commitment.
So let me get on to a rapid fire round with you. Mr. Scindia, biggest difference working in the UPA government and the NDA government?
I believe in my present and my future, not in my past.
The difference,
if you ask me the
learning.
difference, commitment, commitment, commitment. Result, result, result. Outcome, outcome, outcome. Hallmark of Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
How do you define the state of the Congress party today?
It's not my job.
Well,
it's not my job.
Everybody has to be aware of their surroundings. Your competition is there.
No.
You have to know about your competition.
I am very clear. The public of India has defined their state. They are our God.
One word to define the following. Opposition's SIR protest. What would you call it?
I said that before in my my conversation with you. Jeete to chori. Hare to chori, jeete to sora zori.
Congress's opposition to Operation Sindoor on Independence Day invitation.
Shows their true colors.
Who's the next BJP president? Can you answer that one?
Your guess is as good as mine.
Were you surprised when organizationally, what have you learned? What is the biggest difference between BJP and Congress?
It's chalk and cheese. The
Chalk kaun hai, cheese kaun hai?
Bharatiya Janata Party is a party that is driven by the organization. The organization is your Bhagwan. You are a Karyakarta in that organization. You're not a minister in the government of India. You're a Karyakarta. Organization is supreme. And the hard work and effort of every single worker, be it at the polling booth, be it at the mandal level, be it at the district level, be it at any central government minister. That is the definition of the culture of the Bharatiya Janata Party.
And Congress?
I don't want to get into that all the time.
No, but
I don't want to.
BJP is driven by the organization, Congress driven by
that's for you to judge.
by the family?
That's for you to judge.
Bach rahe ho. Darte ho.
I don't know. That's for you to judge. I don't dwell on my past, Navika.
It's the present. Congress hasn't
but that's my past.
Evaporated.
It may be your present. It's my past.
It is a present reality in the country.
It is my past.
Difference between Dr. Manmohan Singh as Prime Minister and Mr. Narendra Modi as Prime Minister.
Nationalistic fervor, pride of India, commitment to take India to the highest heights on the global stage.
And Manmohan Singh? Not all of that?
I've said what I've said.
Your take on Shashi Tharoor? Joining BJP? Not joining?
That's his individual decision. Let me say this. For every individual, it's important that he or she decides his or her path. And as a fellow citizen, it is important to be able to respect that decision.
Your future in politics, where do you see yourself going?
Janasevak. Rooted.
Well, on that note, thank you very much, Jyotiraditya Scindia, for being frank, for speaking frankly, and let's make sure that the gaps between one conversation and the next are not so long.
That lies at your end. I'm available for you, Navika, anytime.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Always a pleasure.
Thank you.